All right, today we're doing something a little different. We're not just looking at a story, we're stepping outside of time to witness a mythic parable unfold. Think of us as cosmic observers watching the grand clash between unyielding order and absolute chaos. Let's dive in.
Our tale begins with a line from an ancient text. Before time, there was only stillness. We watched as the iron rime began to crack. From our vantage point, we saw it happen. It wasn't some loud explosion. It was just a single silent fissure. But it was enough to signal the end of one era and the violent birth of the next.
So, to really understand what that crack meant, we have to go back. We have to understand the stillness that came before it. This is our prologue, set in the universe's first perfect and totally frozen state, the Iron Rime.
And at the very heart of all this quiet was an entity we watched just come into being, born right out of the frozen void of Genningagamp itself. Its entire purpose, its very name, was the Arbiter of Stasis. He was the ultimate guardian of the status quo, the living embodiment of absolute, unchangeable order. What's so wild about this being is its single-minded belief system. For the Arbiter, there was only one thing: the law. He was a sentinel, completely convinced that any change, any tiny deviation, would send the entire world crumbling into ruin. He was the universe's ultimate control freak. But you and I, watching from the outside, we knew that perfect stillness couldn't last forever. Nothing that perfect ever does. And so we come to Act 1, where this perfect order is completely shattered by the arrival of something new, something chaotic, the Crimson Spark. And then, boom! The one thing that should never have happened, happened. A spark of crimson fire, born from the chaos of the fire giants, just appears. And this isn't just fire. It's the raw, volatile power of creation and destruction rolled into one. And somehow, impossibly, this spark gets bound to the Arbiter, a chaotic flame, now tethered to a being of pure ice. And this, right here, just lays out the war that's now raging inside him. On one side, you have everything he was: stasis, law, stillness, silence. And on the other, everything this spark is: chaos, change, heat, transformation. These are two cosmic forces that should never touch, and they're now at war inside a single being. So let's be super clear. This spark was not a gift. It was a corruption, a burning infection. We watched as it literally carved molten rivers across his icy form, just shattering that internal stillness that defined his entire existence. He wasn't just the Arbiter anymore. He was becoming something new and, frankly, something terrifying. Of course, you can't go through a change like that and not have the old guard notice. Which brings us to Act 2, the trial. The Specter, as he was starting to be called, gets summoned to the halls of the old gods to answer for what he'd become. You see, the gods of the Nine Realms, the Aesir, they were the very definition of that old, rigid order he used to uphold. So his new, burning, evolving self, that was a direct threat to their stagnant, unchanging ways. They couldn't even begin to comprehend this mix of ice and fire. To them, it was just a perversion of the order they held so dear. The trial itself was swift and brutal. First up, the accusation. He had betrayed his whole purpose by abandoning stasis. That led to the confrontation, where the rigid, unbending law slammed up against the cosmic reality that the universe needed to change. But they refused to see it. And so, the verdict was pretty much a foregone conclusion: exile. And the reason for this verdict was so clear to us watching from above. This wasn't about justice or cosmic balance, it was about power. As the text says, the gods chose to preserve their own frozen authority, even if that meant casting out the one being who held the key to a necessary cosmic rebirth. So, he's cast out, branded a traitor. But this, right here, is where the real story begins. In Act 3, this rejection forges him into something so much greater: the exile. His journey from here on out is just fascinating to watch. It starts with total rejection, right? From there, he just wanders the realms, all alone, this walking contradiction of ice and fire. And it's in that solitude that he has this huge realization. The absolute frozen rigidity of the gods is just as destructive as the wild, unchecked chaos of fire. And that gives him a brand new purpose.
He's not a guardian of one extreme anymore, but a wanderer carrying the flame.
And here's the crucial point of the whole story. His exile wasn't a punishment, it was a catalyst. Being cast out by the very system he was built to protect was the only thing that could have forced him to see beyond the narrow limits of pure law and finally understand what the cosmos really needed. This whole epic journey of ice and fire brings us to our conclusion, the epilogue. This is where the Spectre finally understands and embraces his final form, the cosmic architect. He is no longer the arbiter of stasis. He is now the cosmic architect. And this is the real takeaway. His new job isn't to stop change, but to manage it. He's blended the cold logic of stasis with the fiery energy of change, becoming the overseer of the universe's most essential cycle, death and rebirth. And so this ancient parable leaves us with one heck of a question. We watch the Spectre's entire journey, from a simple guardian of stillness to an agent of managed chaos. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? In a universe that is defined by constant change, is trying to achieve perfect, unyielding order a noble goal, or is it actually the ultimate form of destruction?